Hey, this is Rusty Walker. I'm sitting here with Todd Malcolm, guy I've known for years, a friend of mine, and he is a true refrigeration success story. So I'm going to let him introduce you himself and let you tell you all how he did it, and how he is a success story. Hey, Todd.
Hey everybody. Yeah, so this is Todd Malcolm. So I'd say back in 2007, 2008, I was just running some kind of like construction work, home remodeling stuff. We all know that.
Now, where were you at? You're in Georgia?
So that was all around the Atlanta metro area. And then that whole fallout from that kind of left me working less than part-time hours. So I had a friend who was in the refrigeration service world. So he kind of. Well, I remember one day we're kind of hanging out, drinking a few beers, and I'm complaining about work. And he's like, "Well, hey, you seem like a smart guy. I can introduce you to a trade that will never let you down on hours and lack of work." So I said, "Let's do it." So I got hired on with him. I think I spent about 3 months riding in his van. He got me going, and from there took off as technician. Started doing new store startups. Went from there to being like a lead tech, and then on to field service supervisor. And so did that almost 8 years.
So, as you're working for the contractor, were you going ahead and just every day kind of progressing, getting a little bit more, doing the service calls, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, every day is a learning experience because you never know what you're going to run up on. And it may not have been you that ran up on it. You're constantly on the phone with other guys. This is what I'm seeing. They're telling me what they're seeing. We're always talking through problems. So it might have been somebody else was at the call, and they're telling you what they're seeing, and you're throwing out ideas. And when they finally figure it out, they're kind of we all share the information back and forth. So you're learn whether you're the guy that was doing the tricky call or not. You're still learning from their experience. So.
What do you think about the kind of camaraderie or brotherhood or whatever you want to call it between technicians when you're working together? And really, is it kind of really? Tell me about it. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. There's always a certain group of guys that are talking to each other constantly throughout the day, and you got your during the day buddies, and then you got your on call guys with you. So. If several of you are out at night, you're on the phone the whole time. That's how it was back then for us. We had our groups, and you were on the phone from the time you left to the time you got home. So.
Some of it bullshitting, and some of it talking about the work, right?
It could be anything. Who knows? One guy's in a motor room, one guy's driving, one guy's in the store talking to the manager. 4 conversations going on at once. It was just a group chat kind of thing, and live in person.
Yeah, kind of cool, huh?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What do you think? So I always hear a lot of guys talk about one of the things they like about refrigeration is they walk in and it's broke, and they walk out and it's fixed.
It's a good feeling when you walk in. I mean, it could be, oh yeah, that little case over there is not running, or it could be full on panic. Half my store's down.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, when you 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours later, and you walk out, hey bro, you're back up and running, everything's good, and then you see them relax, they're relieved, whatever,
mm-hmm.
Or they may whatever, get out of here. You get all kinds of reactions just depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm. But that is kind of a cool.
It is. Yeah. You walked in and you took care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To me, that's one of my favorite things about it. And just so if anybody's curious what all the noise is, we're actually sitting at an Irish pub enjoying a couple. I'm having a black and tan. Todd's having an IPA because that's part of the work sometimes. Sometimes you have to sit around and have a beer and share war stories.
Absolutely.
And so where did you go after you left the contractors?
So I went from there, got picked up by Hill Phoenix to come in there and start working in the inside sales department. So that's a lot of mixture of, my description is half sales, half engineering. That was a big wake-up call. I was, to be honest, quite nervous and scared to go to work there because I have no engineering background whatsoever. All I had was my years in the field of seeing it in action, seeing it break, seeing what it takes to fix it. I honestly didn't think I had anything positive to add or to provide this company, but they thought that I did, and I did. After being there for a while, I realized there are certain things that I can add. So when I started, my example, something that came up with talking to one of the engineers was, they start going through like component sizing and like liquid line solenoid came up, and I'm like, they were showing me something. I said, "You mean there's more than 1/2 inch liquid line solenoid?" Because to me, it's like, you go to the parts house, you buy a 1/2 inch solenoid, and when one's bad in a case, you put one in. I'm like, I didn't know there's two different, that whole deep level of detail. Like, I had no idea, So you start seeing that stuff, and then when to me, when I see that stuff, it's like, I need to know more. So I started asking questions and start getting, show me how you figure this out. What do you do? And, there was a lot of, the first few years of asking lots of questions and people showing me stuff. And,
so would you say part of your success is the fact that you really just wanted to know, your curiosity, and just asking questions for the guys?
Yeah, and I think that's what made me a good technician was, I didn't just want to skate by or do okay. Like, if I'm going to do something, I'm not saying I'm the best, but I want to be the best, right? So, that's what drives me is if I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. And that pushes me to learn things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I have no degree. I didn't go to school for any of this. So, I work with, degreed mechanical engineers from Georgia Tech, and, I have respect for them for what they, the time they put into to get where they are. But at the same time, like, I feel as somewhat as equal as, I spent my time learning the way I learn. Not to say that it's on the same level, but, it's on a different level.
Yeah.
That there's certain things that I can speak to that they don't have an experience with, and there's a lot of things they can speak to that I don't have experience with. So I feel it's a compliment to each other, not a one's better or worse than the other, or anything like that. So.
Kind of a team effort where you're strong, maybe they're a little bit weak, and where they're strong, you might be a weak, and together you guys both get better, right?
And, I still go ask questions today. I mean, I've been at Hill Phoenix for 10 years. I've been promoted to manager, and I run a team of inside sales, but I still don't feel that I still don't feel like I know everything, and I still go ask questions and ask for help, even today.
So you said something really cool that I want to touch on. You said you still don't think you know everything. Do you think you ever, in refrigeration, and to me this is, and I want to know your opinion, but do you ever think you're ever going to be able to learn everything in refrigeration?
No, and I don't think anyone will, because we're constantly figuring out new things and constantly changing things and making changes to adjust things. We're constantly learning.
Yeah.
Between designing, between manufacturing, between things running in the field, we're constantly learning things that change and things that happen. We make adjustments to it. So I don't think nobody can ever say they're there.
Yeah. Nobody can push in the clutch. There's always something to learn. And it doesn't. And would you agree that it's all along the whole refrigeration food chain, from the kid running the apprentice all the way up to the senior
The
managers,
30-year
and the
veteran.
engineering.
Yep. You're always learning something.
Yeah.
Stuff's always changing. If we're staying static, we're losing the race.
Yeah, and I find sometimes once you think you do have it, refrigeration has a way of humbling you.
That is it. Absolutely.
And we've all been there, right?
Yep.
So you're happy with your career choice?
I am. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. You know, every job has its frustrations and ups and downs, and that's just life. You know. When someone finds a job that doesn't have that, please let me know. I'm ready for that. But you know,
I think some of the challenges that we run into on a day-to-day basis are some of the most exciting things once we figure them out, right?
it is exciting. It's always changing. Keeps it interesting. You know, there's days I hate my job, but it's never boring.
Yeah.
It's never dull. A lot of days I love my job for those same reasons. So,
And sometimes you want to pull your hair out. So
if I had any left,
all right. Would you recommend this for some young guys that are looking for something to do and maybe haven't figured out what they want to do in career or whatever?
absolutely. I mean, getting into this career has provided me a lot of opportunities I wouldn't have had doing what I was doing before. It's definitely a way to pay the bills, support a family.
The money's not bad.
The money is not bad. Absolutely would recommend it. It's a solid trade that's never going to go away. It's never not going to be in demand. You can go to any city in the country and you have a job. Absolutely, it's.
All right. Well, Todd, I appreciate you drinking a beer with me and you doing this recording. And we're going to end the recording now and order another round. All right. Thanks, Todd.